Bonita is a very high fire hazard severity zone. What does that mean? Well, if you live or own property in this neighborhood, the Zone Zero regulations will impact you. Hey everyone, it's Chris here with Zone Zero California. And before we get started, I want to remind you we are doing a subscriber giveaway. We're giving away a free pedestrian gate. All you need to do is pay for the labor to install it. And it is a color bond gate by Durabond. And this is an all-steel design and construction made in Australia, and it's built to withstand the intense heat of wildfires. And this is the exact kind of gate that homeowners and property managers in fire hazard severity zones might need to replace their old wood gates with. And that's what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about the Zone Zero regulations, the fire hazard severity zones like neighborhoods such as Bonita, and the impact it's going to have as we expect the state to publish their final draft regulations here very soon in March 2026. So, what is Zone Zero? Zone Zero is the 0 to 5 feet around any structure or home that has a renewed defensible space requirement as dictated by these Zone Zero regulations. So, it mainly has to do with Class A non-combustible building materials. So as I mentioned earlier in our example, if you have an old wood fence or gate, most likely redwood or cedar, that will need to be replaced. Now the good news is there are some woods that are approved for use. For example, decking hardwood such as Kayu Batu has been approved by CAL FIRE. So it's not about drifting away from or eliminating wood completely. It's about replacing it with the type of wood that is approved. So I'm here near the section of Otay Lakes Road and Bonita Boulevard, I believe is what it is. Just to bring you guys, the viewers, on the ground so you can see where these fire hazard severity zones begin. And essentially as you go up Otay Lakes towards Rancho Del Rey, I believe, essentially you enter the fire hazard severity zone here in the hills. And topographically, we can see that there's an overlap between these fire hazard severity zones and communities that are built on hills or on mountains. So I think that has a lot to do with the fire, the high winds. And so these kinds of areas are more susceptible to high winds. And then you combine that with the major fire event, that's a recipe for disaster. But what we know specifically, and why these Zone Zero regulations came about, is because what causes the most damage are the embers that get picked up and blown and land on other properties. It's not the big wall of fire or even the radiant heat that causes the most damage, it's the spreading of those embers. So that's why these fire hazard communities, or severity zones I should say, will have a renewed focus on combating and hardening their homes to prevent this type of property damage from the wildfire embers moving forward. So I'm going to list you 6 things that together create a fire hardening system: landscaping, fences, gates, decks, siding, and roofing. Those 6 things together compile a fire hardened system for your home or your property. So what does it look like in practice? Well, landscaping. You may need to transition from grass to gravel or from mulch to gravel in that 5 feet around the home. You may have to get rid of trees. In fact, that's been some of the biggest sources of pushback we know from the community so far through this regulatory process. Trees provide a great deal of natural shade. That natural shade helps reduce energy costs for cooling your home. What else? So we mentioned fences and decks. Again, if it's an old wood fence or deck, fences or gates, it'll need to be replaced. Now, speaking of decks, that may also be something you may need to address. If you have a redwood deck, that may need to be replaced with material like this hardwood that is approved, or with things like Trex or TimberTech, because I believe some of those materials do also qualify as non-combustible. However, your deck framing may need to be replaced with something like metal or with a different type of wood. So again, it's gonna differ on a case-to-case basis. Just be prepared. We want people prepared and not scared. We have compiled a list of resources in a school community. I've got links to all kinds of grants for financial assistance because, as with this next example, siding, redoing the siding on an entire home is a much bigger undertaking than replacing a fence or a gate. So if you are looking for financial assistance, those resources are available. You can find them on the resources page of our website, zonezerocalifornia.com, or in our school community, which I have a link to directly in the description below this video. Now, as I mentioned, siding, if your home was designed or built in a certain time period or with a certain architectural style, you may have wood siding that may need to be replaced. And finally, there's roofing. And now most roofing material at this point in time is most likely flame retardant, fire resistant, non-combustible. However, again, as part of that system, if you have a tree next to your home and it drops a bunch of leaf litter on your roof and you don't clean that off regularly, and then there's a major fire event and those embers do happen to blow and land on your roof, combined with the high winds, that may be enough to create a fire such that it permeates that, you know, hypothetical barrier your normal roof would provide. So all that is something to be aware of. Again, it applies specifically to people and communities inside of fire hazard severity zones. We don't know if it's going to apply to everyone in California just yet, so we're going to these fire hazard severity zones to raise awareness. Once again, my name's Chris. Listen, if you want to be put in touch with a contractor, a licensed contractor in your area, you can go to zonezerocalifornia.com, give me a call or fill out the form, reach out to me there. We'll connect you with somebody in your area. And of course, if you subscribe to the channel and download our free PDF checklist from our website, you'll be entered to win a free replacement pedestrian gate courtesy of Colorbond by Durabond. All right, enough chatter, enough yapping. Let's hop in the truck, let's drive around Bonita and see if we can find some areas for concern in your common neighborhood here in Bonita when it comes to these Zone 0 regulations. Let's go. Hey, it's Chris. All right, so we're back in the truck. So let me show you the map and then let's drive into the fire hazard severity zone areas in this Bonita neighborhood. So let me see here. So I'm over here at the intersection of Otay Lakes and Bonita Road. And as you can see, as we go a few blocks up into the hill here, that's where the fire hazard severity zone begins. It goes from medium to high to very high very quickly. So of course this is the Bonita neighborhood, even though we might be in the city of Chula Vista technically. So if we go up Otay Lakes Road and just take a drive into one of these neighborhoods, we will be able to see if there's any kinds of typical homes that will have Zone 0 type concerns. Now mostly when I do this, it's usually wood fences and gates. A lot of times it's also landscaping, trees, and every now and then, depending on which neighborhood we're in, which part of California we're in, we'll see wood siding or not. Again, that siding depends on the building materials from the era and architectural style the home was built in to begin with. So we're gonna go up here, we're gonna make a right onto Otay Lakes. We'll let all this traffic pass because I don't want to drive too slow, and then we'll take a turn into the neighborhood here and just see what kind of common Zone 0 issues or concerns the homes are gonna have. All right, so just going up the hill here. Let me just kind of show you guys, right? So as I said, topographically, a lot of these things tend to align with communities that are built on hillsides and mountaintops. So it's no different here in the neighborhood of Bonita in the city of Chula Vista. So yeah, all these trees. Now I can see a neighborhood up here to the left. So as soon as I can make a left, we'll go into this neighborhood, but I can already see from here a number of wood fences. And that's usually the case. It's usually a fence and gate thing. And what we know is that CAL FIRE studies have shown that wood fences and gates sort of act like a fuse and allow these fires to travel. So if you have a wood fence and you share that with a number of neighbors, like look at this wood fence along the hilltop. All those neighbors share that same fence line, and it's wood all the way down. So this is Camino del Cerro Grande and Otay Lakes Boulevard. It looks like the neighborhood is named Bonita Bel Air, which is cool. So Again, it's a hillside community here in the northeastern part of Chula Vista, the Bonita neighborhood. We're going to see what kind of zone 0 issues are common to this location. So, all right, already getting started here, just turning in. You got a wood fence there. So let's turn up this street. So I'm making the first turn. Oh, again, look at this, other side of the street, wood fence. Not to mention all those trees. So here you go, wood fences and gates between the homes, as well as pine trees. Pine trees drop litter, that litter dries up, that becomes dangerous combustible material. And again, so there's wood, and then this neighbor has vinyl. So some people, now vinyl, I have to do my research. At this point, I do not know if it's actually non-combustible, but here's a wood gate. That would need to be replaced. Here's a wood deck being built. That they may be in for a surprise there. So you have vinyl here. I'm gonna turn it up this street. Again, we're in the Bonita Bel Air neighborhood. This is all wood right here. And that goes right up to the side of the house. So that would be a zone 0. You've got wood fence up there between the houses. I can see it. Might be hard for you to see. That looks like metal there. Okay. Let's see here. That they've got wrought iron here. Wrought iron is actually steel, technically. But look at all the palm trees. So all those trees could be an issue. Oh, you've got a wood fence between the neighbors here, with a wooden gate that goes right next to the home, attaches to the garage right there, over here. You've got a wood fence over here that goes right up next to the house right there. You've got trees. You've got wood fence. So there you go. Bonita Bel Air, just some examples real quick. And again, you know, I've been doing this for a while now. Driving through, you know, I started in Los Angeles, now we're in San Diego. Visiting these fire hazard severity zones, taking you, the viewers, there, pointing things out. A lot of wood fences and gates. So that's why we're giving away a pedestrian gate. All right, so again, if you want to win a zone 0 compliant pedestrian gate, courtesy of Color Bond by Durabond, all you got to do is subscribe to the channel, and then go to zone0california.com and fill out the form there, and you can download your very own zone 0 PDF checklist guide. And of course, if you want to be put in touch with contractors who can, licensed contractors who can perform some of these work for you, just either give me a call from the phone number on our website, or I'll get your information from our contact form. So once again, thank you. Bonita, northeastern Chula Vista, is a high and very high fire hazard severity zone. Stay safe.